Our state has neglected to protect its citizens from this type of development. So I think having more state-empowered regulation that also gives local communities the ability to decide for themselves is vitally important. So we'll do this again after this guy passes.
Pete Morris and Melody Betts are longtime friends and residents of Grant County in Wisconsin's Driftless Area, a topographically and culturally unique region that covers the southwestern part of the state and extends into parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois.
Frank Lloyd Wright once said, Wisconsin has put sap in my veins, and so I kind of feel the same way. What makes the Driftless region special to me is the fact that it's been this way for hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, geologically, the rivers and the streams and the rock outcroppings and the bluffs, you know, they don't look a whole lot different than, you know, what it looked like when Marquette and Joliet paddled from the Wisconsin into the Mississippi centuries ago.
If anybody knows about the Driftless Area, it's one of the most unique areas within the United States, within the world. No matter where I've lived throughout my life, coming back to Southwest Wisconsin, coming back to the Driftless Area gives me peace, and it does that for so many.
I speak from the lens of somebody who grew up on a farm, somebody who milked cows down the road, who baled hay. Like, why do I care about the Driftless? Because, you know, I'm born in a small town and gonna die in a small town, and this is where they're gonna bury me. And, like, literally, this is our burial plot. This is such an undisturbed place. To radically change it just doesn't seem right. The majority of folks first learned about the possibility of a data center back in mid-December of 2025 when we saw this big headline in the Grant County Herald Independent. Grant County eyed for potential $1 billion data center, and I think there was just this collective, what? After seeing in Port Washington and Beaver Dam and other parts of the state, just the level of disruption. Are you really going to try to do this here?
Yeah, it was a gut punch. It felt like it was just going to destroy everything that I find absolutely sacred in this area.
Elected officials have signed non-disclosure agreements with the developer in order to protect the developer and keep citizens uninformed, and that is not how our founding fathers meant this to work.
I mean, when you just keep hearing that, I can't share that information. No, I can't do that. We're the constituents, we're the people here, we pay our taxes, and you're telling us that you don't have to be transparent with us, that people don't need to know what's actually going to happen to their water, their land, and their electric. It's terrifying.
We just want to know the truth. Just level with us. Who are you dealing with? What are you planning? And when are we going to get to know? If this is going to be such a great deal for us, the people, why wouldn't you sing it from the mountaintops? When we don't even know who the end user of this proposed project would be, to not know whether it's Google, Meta, that we're going to invite into Grant County, wow, I've got a real problem with that.
Yeah, running through the Driftless Area and just disregarding the people who live here is just not acceptable.
I think the tipping point for me was when we went to the February Grant County Zoning Committee meeting, and these meetings take place at 9 o'clock on a weekday. So there were a number of us who took off work because data center discussion was on the agenda, and we fought hard to get that on the agenda, and then to show up and be told that there's not going to be any public comment because there's not going to be a vote, that just tripped my wire.
Well, there was also a deputy that was put back in the corner just to make sure that we would stay in line, which kind of cracks me up. I mean, I think Pete and I are pretty nefarious.
this is a shady operation. We have some leadership in place that is not doing the will of the people. They are very much, to use a quote, seeing the mouth-watering revenue possibilities of these developments. And that's when we really started talking about, hey, we've got to hold our own meeting where we can share the facts. And then Charlie Behrens reached out and said, how can I help? And so that really led to the start of organizing the March 8 meeting in Potosi.
After watching what had been going on throughout the country, there was no time to waste, and contacted as many people and put it out there on social media as quickly as possible, and it started like just a rush.
We packed this place behind us.
You might mistake this scene for a comedy show.
Seriously though, like, we have 0 laws on the books.
But the topics being discussed by comedian Charlie Behrens and other speakers at this event aren't a joke.
Data centers are a big concern of everybody in the whole state.
Sunday's data center information event was hosted by local volunteers and aimed to answer questions.
What all's involved, the water usage, the energy usage, who pays for what.
Had close to 500 people. Charlie Behrens was here, and
His name pulls a big punch, and he's been absolutely wonderful. Hats off. People really didn't know about data centers. They really did sit and listen and absorbed and took it in. Prescott can explain it in such a way that it makes sense.
why is water so important in Southwest Wisconsin? Because you need it to make beer.
Dun, 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 dun.
I think the thing that concerns people the most is the impact on our water. This is a rural area where almost everyone has a private well, and if your well goes dry or your creek goes dry, you cannot function and you can't feed your family.
A very insulting thing that was told by our economic development person in Grant County is when a constituent asked, what happens if our well goes dry? And to tell her, well, you have the ability to sue these companies. Once your well goes dry, your property values just plummet. You don't have enough money to drill a well and possibly not even find the water, but then you're fighting a multi-billion-dollar company to try and get your water back. That pisses me off. It's cruel. It's just cruel to the people who live here.
The other piece on water is the proximity of this proposed site in Cassville Township to the Mississippi River. Anything that's on that property is going to eventually drain into the Mississippi. But the other piece is, okay, what's your electric bill right now? And as we've seen in other parts of the country, if data centers come in, your electric bill could double. Wow, I don't know how long I could keep going if my electric bill doubled. And I was just really appalled when I saw the CEO of Dairyland Power saying that data centers are the pathway to prosperity for rural America. And I thought, prosperity for whom? The infrastructure in terms of a lot of what's being proposed would be billed back to customers. People in rural Wisconsin are already economically stressed, and if you increase their electric rates even more, that could be the tipping point, and that scares me.
People cannot afford extra electricity or to pay for a new well being dug. People can't even afford the extra $20, $30 of gas in their gas tank, let alone dig a new well.
Right. And everybody I talk to, they're like, I don't care about the tax revenue. I care about this. Yeah. You know, the glaciers never touched this, and so, you know, who are we to screw this up?
So back in 2009, at this overlook site, we documented 1,523 bald eagles migrating north in 6 hours. You know, the Driftless Area is such a special place, you know, on the planet. It's really a gem that not a lot of folks really know about. So, you know, protecting this area from really any major developments like data centers, which are very harmful for the environment.
If you look in other communities like Des Moines, Iowa, a data center does not spur residual development around it. historical data from other parts of the country would show that there's really a minimal economic impact outside of the construction phase.
Yeah, the long game doesn't math. It just doesn't math in our area.
We don't even know who the end user of this proposed data center would be. We don't know how rapidly technology will advance in 5 years, whether these facilities will even be viable.
Yeah, basically all your eggs in one basket, and it's not a good basket. And if you think for one moment that a bankrupt company is actually going to do reclamation, they're walking away because they've wiped their hands of it.
One of the things that I've discussed with our state representatives is the need for some proactive state regulation around data centers and these types of developments. We want to know that there are some regulations in place before we allow further construction of these facilities. And so, to quote Charlie Barron's, data centers are the most bipartisan issue since beer in Wisconsin, and I agree with that.
I think it's going to be a big political issue when it comes to our election, as it should be.
These are decisions that will impact our area for generations to come. We are stewards here for a short time. This place is so unique, and I do not want to be the generation that screws this up. I want future generations to look back and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for doing the right thing and protecting the Driftless so we can enjoy it too. Our quality of life in the Driftless region is way more valuable than any tax revenue, any promises that a data center developer is going to bring. And I think putting people ahead of profits is what we're seeing resonate with folks. Regular, ordinary Wisconsinites are getting engaged and are demanding that their elected officials do what's best for the people.